Beloved of the Lord, today is a day to step into a new level of expectation and favor. Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you try, the breakthroughs you've been praying for seem just out of reach? I want to invite you to open your heart and your spirit, because there is a powerful prayer that, prayed every single day this March, can unlock blessings, breakthroughs, and complete restoration in your life. Can you imagine waking up each morning with a fresh wave of divine favor surrounding you, shifting circumstances, and opening doors you never even knew existed? This is not just a hope, it's a promise waiting for those who dare to speak it and live it consistently. As you pray, envision every area of your life, relationships, finances, health, and purpose being restored and elevated beyond your expectations. I want you to pause for a moment and ask yourself, what breakthrough do I need the most right now? Friends, the power of consistent prayer cannot be overstated. Each word you speak, each declaration of faith, builds momentum in your spirit and shifts the atmosphere around you. Have you ever felt the joy of seeing God's promises manifest right before your eyes? That is exactly what this daily March prayer is designed to do. I encourage you to engage with this message fully. Comment below where you're watching from. Share your breakthrough testimonies. And don't hesitate to like and share this with someone who needs a touch of divine restoration today. This is your season, beloved, a time where blessings are not just possible, they are inevitable. Are you ready to step into a daily rhythm of prayer that transforms your life, restores your joy, and opens the floodgates of favor? Let's begin this journey together, speaking life, hope, and restoration into every moment of this March. Praying daily this March is more than just a routine. It is a deliberate, intentional act of connecting with God's power and positioning yourself for supernatural breakthroughs and restoration in your life. Beloved, have you ever noticed how a single day of prayer can shift your perspective, calm your spirit, and give you clarity that nothing else seems to provide? Imagine multiplying that effect every single day for an entire month. How do you think your life would look if you committed to praying with focus and faith consistently? Daily prayer is not just a ritual, it is a spiritual discipline that allows you to align your heart, mind, and soul with God's purpose for your life. When we talk about praying daily, it is not about repeating words mindlessly or just checking a box. It is about speaking life, hope, and faith over yourself and every area of your existence. Think about the areas where you've been struggling. Maybe finances feel stuck, relationships are tense, or your health seems to falter despite your best efforts. Can you take a moment and identify which part of your life most needs divine intervention right now? Daily prayer acts as a spiritual anchor, keeping you steady and focused on what God is doing behind the scenes, even when the circumstances around you seem chaotic. Each day you commit to prayer, you are creating a rhythm of expectation. You are telling yourself and the universe that you are not willing to settle for mediocrity, delay, or disappointment. Have you ever felt like your breakthrough was delayed simply because you weren't persistent enough in prayer? Persistence matters. It is not just the act of praying once that shifts things. It is the daily commitment that builds momentum in your spirit and triggers God's favor in ways that are both visible and invisible. Daily prayer also trains your heart to recognize God's voice and to trust in His timing. When you pray consistently, you become more sensitive to guidance, more aware of opportunities, and more confident in decision making. Can you recall a time when a single prayer brought clarity or peace to a situation that seemed impossible? Now, imagine that multiplied every day, creating a chain reaction of insight, protection, and divine provision. This is the kind of transformation that daily prayer invites into your life. Another important aspect of daily prayer is the focus on restoration. There are areas of your life that may have been damaged by past mistakes, disappointments, or disappointments from others. Have you felt the weight of those past hurts and longed for a fresh start? Daily prayer acts as a cleansing force, restoring peace, hope, and purpose. Each morning you dedicate to speaking life over yourself and your circumstances is a step toward reclaiming what was lost and stepping into the fullness of God's plan. Prayer daily also opens doors to blessings that are otherwise hidden. Many people overlook the subtle ways God works through our consistent devotion. When you pray every day, you create an environment for miracles to occur. Have you ever experienced a moment where something completely unexpected came through after a time of consistent prayer? That is no accident. It is the power of consistent, intentional connection with God. Daily prayer primes you for divine intervention, aligning your actions, thoughts, and decisions with His will, so that when opportunities arise, you are ready to receive them. As you pray each day, consider the power of declaring specific promises over your life. Naming what you desire and declaring it in faith is incredibly powerful. What specific breakthroughs are you believing for this March? Whether it's a financial increase, healing in a relationship, or restoration of your health, speak it boldly. Daily prayer is not just about asking, it is about declaring and positioning yourself for the manifestation of God's blessings. The words you speak daily are seeds that grow, multiply, and eventually produce tangible results. Engaging in daily prayer also strengthens your resilience. Life has a way of throwing challenges and unexpected trials at us, and sometimes we feel overwhelmed or discouraged. Do you sometimes feel like the weight of life is too heavy to carry alone? Daily prayer equips you with spiritual armor, giving you strength, patience, and clarity to navigate challenges without losing hope. Each day of prayer reminds you that you are not alone and that there is a higher power working tirelessly on your behalf. One of the most beautiful aspects of praying daily is the intimacy it creates between you and God. It is in these moments that you begin to feel His presence tangibly, to hear His guidance, and to recognize His hand in every part of your life. Have you ever paused to listen during prayer and felt a sense of peace wash over you, even when nothing around you had changed yet? That peace is proof that prayer is effective, that God is present, and that your daily commitment is creating a ripple effect in your spirit and in the world around you. Finally, daily prayer is a statement of faith. It says, I believe in your timing, I trust your plan, and I am committed to walking in alignment with your purpose. How often do you tell yourself that you trust God? Your actions show hesitation or inconsistency. By committing to pray every day this March, you demonstrate that your faith is not passive, it is active, vibrant, and determined. It is in that consistent practice, day after day, that blessings, breakthroughs, and restoration begin to manifest in ways that exceed your imagination. Daily prayer is an invitation to step into a higher level of spiritual awareness, connection, and empowerment. It is the consistent rhythm of speaking life, declaring faith, and positioning yourself for God's favor. Are you ready to commit to a daily practice that will transform your spirit, your circumstances, and your life? Imagine looking back at the end of March and seeing the incredible shift that daily prayer has brought, not just in what happens around you, in who you have become along the way. Speaking declarations of faith to activate divine favor in every area of your life is one of the most powerful spiritual practices you can engage in. Beloved, have you ever considered the impact of the words you speak each day? Words are not just sounds, they carry energy, authority, and the ability to shift the atmosphere around you. When you intentionally declare faith, you are not just expressing hope, you are activating unseen forces that work in your favor. What areas of your life would change if every word you spoke aligned perfectly with God's promises for you? Declarations of faith are more than just positive thinking. They are statements of authority. You are speaking into existence the things God has already ordained for you. Can you recall a time when a single bold statement of faith seemed to open a door that had been closed for years? That is the power of declaring faith consistently. Every declaration acts as a seed, and over time, these seeds grow, multiply, and bear fruit in ways you may not even anticipate. When you speak declarations of faith, you begin to shift your mindset from doubt to expectation. Are there areas in your life where doubt has been lingering, quietly undermining your confidence and delaying your breakthroughs? Speaking faith-filled declarations helps to dismantle those doubts. It trains your mind to focus on possibilities rather than limitations. Every time you declare, I am blessed, I am favored, I am restored, you are reinforcing your belief in God's promises and positioning yourself to receive His favor. Declarations of faith also create a spiritual atmosphere that invites blessings. When you speak with conviction, the unseen realm begins to respond. Have you ever noticed how your energy and environment change when you boldly declare what you believe? Friends, your words have power. They shape your reality. As you practice daily declarations, you are actively inviting divine favor into every area of your life, whether it is finances, relationships, health, or personal growth. Consistency in declarations is key. It is not enough to speak faith-filled words once or twice when circumstances seem desperate. How often have you spoken words of faith and then allowed fear or doubt to creep back in the next day? When you make a daily habit of declaring faith, you are creating spiritual momentum. This momentum strengthens your spirit and signals to heaven that you are serious about walking in alignment with God's purpose. Another important aspect of declarations of faith is their ability to transform your emotions. Life can be overwhelming, and sometimes anxiety, worry, or frustration take hold. Can you relate to those moments when your heart feels heavy and hope seems distant? Speaking faith-filled declarations lifts your spirit, shifts your focus from problems to possibilities, and instills a sense of peace that goes beyond understanding. Each declaration reminds you that God is at work, even when you cannot see immediate results. Declarations of faith also impact your relationships and interactions. When you operate from a place of faith and positivity, others are naturally drawn to that energy. Have you noticed how encouragement and confidence can inspire those around you? By declaring faith over your life, you are not only activating favor for yourself, but you are also influencing the atmosphere for others. Your words can spark hope, inspire courage, and even change the course of someone else's day or life. Specificity in your declarations is incredibly powerful. It is not enough to simply say, I am blessed, without truly visualizing or naming the areas where you desire God's favor. What specific breakthroughs do you need in your finances, relationships, or health? When you speak with clarity and intention, you are providing a roadmap for God's favor to move on your behalf. Declarations become even more effective when you combine them with gratitude, acknowledging the blessings already present in your life. Faith-filled declarations also help you stand firm during challenges. Life has a way of testing our patience and resolve, often when we least expect it. How do you respond when doors seem closed or when situations feel impossible? Declarations anchor you in truth, reminding you that circumstances do not dictate your destiny. God does. By speaking life over yourself consistently, you resist discouragement and maintain a confident expectation that favor is at work, even in unseen ways. Finally, declarations of faith cultivate a lifestyle of hope and expectancy. They are not just a tool for urgent situations, they are a daily practice that strengthens your spiritual muscles. Beloved, what if you approached every day speaking words that align with God's promises, expecting blessings, breakthroughs, and restoration to manifest? The more you engage in this practice, the more natural it becomes to live in alignment with your divine purpose. Each declaration is a step toward fully embracing the favor that has been prepared for you, shaping not only your present circumstances, but also the trajectory of your future. Declarations of faith invite action, confidence, and alignment with God's will. They remind you that your words carry authority, and that consistent expression of belief opens doors, shifts environments, and activates divine opportunities. How ready are you to make declarations a daily part of your life, seeing them transform not only what happens around you, but who you become in the process? Visualizing blessings manifesting in relationships, finances, health, and purpose is a powerful spiritual practice that can transform the way you experience life. Beloved of the Lord, have you ever taken a moment to really picture your life the way God intends it to be? Not just hoping for change, truly seeing it in your mind's eye, feeling it in your heart, and expecting it to come to pass. When you engage in this type of intentional visualization, you are not merely dreaming, you are activating a powerful alignment between your faith and God's promises. Imagine waking up each morning and clearly seeing the breakthroughs you have been praying for. Can you feel the difference between merely wishing for something and actively envisioning it as already happening? When you visualize blessings, your mind begins to focus on solutions, opportunities, and possibilities rather than obstacles and setbacks. Every time you take the time to see your life flourishing in detail, you are training your spirit to recognize God's favor and work in tangible ways around you. Visualization works hand in hand with prayer and declarations. When you pray, you speak to God. And when you declare, you speak to your circumstances. But when you visualize, you invite your spirit to experience the promise in advance. Have you ever imagined your finances being fully restored or a broken relationship completely healed? That mental picture is more than just a hopeful thought. It is a seed planted in your spirit, ready to grow when nurtured with consistent prayer and faith-filled declarations. Blessings in relationships often begin with seeing them whole and healthy before they actually manifest. Are there relationships in your life that need restoration, understanding, or deeper connection? Take a moment and visualize what those relationships would look like if peace, love, and mutual respect were fully restored. When your heart holds that picture with expectation, it shapes how you interact with others and opens the door for reconciliation and harmony. Visualization also helps you respond with grace instead of reacting with frustration, creating a fertile ground for divine restoration. Finances are another area where visualization can make a profound impact. Can you picture receiving unexpected provision, paying off debts, or stepping into abundance without stress or worry? Seeing yourself prosper in your mind helps you break free from scarcity thinking and aligns your spirit with God's promises of provision. Each time you visualize financial breakthroughs, you are setting a spiritual precedent that prepares you to recognize opportunities, take inspired action, and receive the blessings that have already been promised to you. Health and vitality are also deeply influenced by visualization. Have you ever taken the time to imagine your body fully restored, energized, and strong? Visualizing wellness helps your mind and spirit support the healing process. When you picture your body functioning optimally, your faith becomes active in the unseen realm, calling forth restoration and balance. This practice doesn't replace medical care, but it amplifies your spirit's alignment with divine health, inviting God's intervention and favor into your physical well-being. Purpose is another crucial area where visualization brings clarity and empowerment. What if you could see yourself walking fully in your God-given calling, experiencing fulfillment, impact, and joy in every step? Take a moment and imagine the life you are meant to live, the goals you are created to achieve, and the legacy you are destined to leave. Visualization helps you focus on what matters most, eliminating distractions and doubts, while inspiring confidence to take steps toward your purpose every day. Consistency is key when it comes to visualization. How often do you allow yourself to truly see and feel the blessings you desire? The more consistently you practice, the stronger your spiritual and mental alignment becomes. Just like faith-filled declarations, repeated visualization strengthens your expectancy and prepares your heart to receive God's favor. Each day that you visualize blessings is a day you are building momentum towards seeing them materialize in real life. Visualization also cultivates gratitude and a positive mindset. Are there moments when you find it hard to see progress or feel overwhelmed by challenges? By focusing on the blessings you are expecting, you begin to shift your perspective from lack to abundance, from frustration to hope. Seeing the good that is coming allows you to navigate present difficulties with confidence, knowing that what you are envisioning is already on its way to manifestation. This practice of visualizing blessings engages both your conscious and subconscious mind. Your subconscious begins to work on your behalf, noticing opportunities, guiding decisions, and aligning circumstances to match what you have pictured. Have you ever had an idea or opportunity come to you seemingly out of nowhere? Often, that is the subconscious mind working in harmony with your faith and visualization to bring your prayers to life. Visualization prepares you to recognize these moments and act with wisdom, ensuring that blessings do not pass unnoticed. When combined with prayer and declarations, visualization becomes a powerful trio for transformation. You pray to invite God's intervention, declare to activate your faith, visualize to experience the promise in advance. What would it feel like if every day you saw yourself thriving in every area of life, relationships, finances, health, and purpose before it even physically manifested? That feeling of expectancy strengthens your spirit, fuels your faith, and creates a magnetic force that draws divine favor to you. Visualization is not just a mental exercise, it is a spiritual practice that aligns your heart with God's vision for your life. It teaches patience, focus, and trust while empowering you to take inspired action. Have you ever felt the difference in your confidence when you could clearly see the outcome you desired, even when circumstances seemed uncertain? That clarity brings peace, resilience, and a sense of empowerment, reminding you that you are not waiting aimlessly. You are co-creating with God. Beloved, as you embrace visualization, allow yourself to dream boldly and see vividly. Picture the restoration, breakthroughs, and blessings in every area of your life. Ask yourself, what would my life look like if I fully embraced this practice every single day this month? How would my faith grow, my hope increase, and my joy be restored as I intentionally align my thoughts, declarations, and prayers with God's promises? Engaging actively, commenting, sharing, and celebrating testimonies of God's work is a vital part of your spiritual journey and growth in faith. Beloved of the Lord, have you ever experienced the joy of seeing someone else's breakthrough and felt inspired to believe that the same could happen in your own life? Sharing testimonies and celebrating victories, no matter how small, helps to create a spiritual environment where miracles, favor, and restoration are amplified. When you engage actively, you are not just a passive observer, you are participating in a community of faith that multiplies blessings. Have you ever wondered how much power there is in your voice, your encouragement, and your acknowledgement of God's work in your life and others? Commenting and sharing your experiences doesn't just inspire others, it reinforces your own faith and strengthens your expectancy. Each time you speak about a blessing, a breakthrough, or even a small answer to prayer, you are acknowledging God's faithfulness and activating more favor in your life. What testimony could you share today that might encourage someone else to hold on in faith? Engagement also creates accountability. When you actively participate in a faith community by commenting, sharing, and celebrating testimonies, you are declaring to yourself and others that your walk with God is intentional and consistent. Have you ever noticed how much more committed you feel when you share your victories or challenges with others? That commitment reinforces your spiritual discipline and keeps your focus on expecting God's best in every area of life. Sharing testimonies also has a ripple effect. When you speak about the blessings, breakthroughs, and restoration happening in your life, you are planting seeds of hope in others. How often have you been encouraged or inspired by hearing someone else's story of divine intervention? Now, imagine being the one who ignites that spark of faith in someone else. By actively sharing, you are creating a spiritual chain reaction that extends far beyond your immediate circle, bringing encouragement, inspiration, and boldness to others who may be struggling or doubting. Celebrating testimonies reminds you to focus on gratitude. When you take the time to recognize and share the ways God is working, you shift your heart away from worry, fear, or comparison. Can you think of moments when reflecting on what God has done helped you gain strength for the next challenge? Actively engaging in the sharing of testimonies keeps your heart in a place of gratitude, which opens the door for even greater manifestations of favor and breakthrough. Commenting, sharing, and celebrating also serve as declarations of faith. Every time you affirm what God is doing, you are speaking life into your circumstances and confirming your belief in His promises. Have you noticed how powerful it feels when you declare a victory or a blessing, even before it fully manifests? That act of faith strengthens your spiritual confidence and creates momentum for more victories. Each engagement is a spiritual investment, a way of participating in the unfolding of God's favor in your life and in the lives of others. Actively engaging encourages connection and community. Faith was never meant to be lived in isolation. Who in your life could benefit from hearing about your journey, your breakthroughs, or even your daily victories? By sharing your story, you are building bridges of encouragement, mentorship, and inspiration that extend God's love and favor. Engagement allows you to be a beacon of hope, showing that restoration, breakthroughs, and blessings are not just possible, they are happening every day for those who believe. When you comment, share, and celebrate, you also reinforce your own testimony. How often do you forget the small victories along the way, only to realize later that they were stepping stones to something greater? By actively acknowledging what God is doing in your life, you create a record of faith that you can look back on, drawing encouragement, strength, and confirmation for future challenges. Sharing your experiences reminds you that God is consistent, faithful, and always at work, even when the results seem delayed. Engagement fosters accountability in your spiritual practices. Have you ever felt more motivated to pray, declare, or believe when you knew others were walking the journey with you. When you participate actively, you encourage both yourself and others to stay consistent in prayer, declarations, and visualizations of blessings. This mutual accountability strengthens the collective faith of your community and increases the likelihood of seeing miracles and restoration manifest. Celebrating testimonies also invites divine reinforcement. When you publicly acknowledge God's work in your life, you are effectively creating an atmosphere where favor multiplies. Can you feel the difference in energy when a room celebrates a blessing or breakthrough together? That energy is contagious, elevating the faith and expectancy of everyone involved. Your active participation not only affirms your own faith, but also helps others believe that they, too, can experience restoration, breakthrough, and abundance. Engaging actively keeps your focus on possibilities rather than limitations. When you are commenting, sharing, and celebrating, you are training your heart and mind to recognize God's movement in real time. Are there areas in your life where doubt has crept in, making it hard to see progress? Focusing on testimonies, both your own and those of others, you reinforce hope and expectation, creating an environment where blessings are not only recognized, but actively welcomed and amplified. Active engagement is also a form of worship. When you celebrate God's work in your life, you are acknowledging His presence, His timing, and His faithfulness. How often do you stop to intentionally honor God for the victories, big or small, in your life? Commenting, sharing, and celebrating are ways of giving glory to God while inviting more of His favor to flow into every aspect of your journey. It is a practice that strengthens your spirit, uplifts others, and keeps your heart aligned with divine purpose. Beloved, engaging actively is not just about social interaction. It is a spiritual practice that deepens your faith, multiplies blessings, and inspires hope. Testimony can you share today that will encourage someone else to hold fast in faith? How might your words, encouragement, and celebrations influence someone who desperately needs a reminder that restoration, breakthroughs, and divine favor are not only real, they are available to those who believe and participate fully? Stepping into a rhythm of prayer that transforms your life and opens doors of opportunity is one of the most powerful spiritual disciplines you can cultivate. Beloved of the Lord, have you ever noticed how consistent prayer has the power to shift your entire day, even before it begins? When you create a daily rhythm of connection with God, you are not just asking for blessings, you are preparing your heart, mind, and spirit to receive them fully. What would your life look like if you made prayer a natural, daily habit that set the tone for every decision and opportunity? A rhythm of prayer is more than a schedule. It is a lifestyle. It is about aligning your thoughts, actions, and intentions with God's will consistently. How often do you start the day focused on everything else except your spiritual alignment? Imagine beginning each morning with a dedicated moment to speak life over your circumstances, declare faith, and anticipate breakthroughs. That daily rhythm becomes a spiritual compass, guiding you through challenges, decisions, and moments of uncertainty with clarity and confidence. Consistency in prayer builds expectancy. Each day you commit to speaking to God, you are creating a foundation of faith that can support any challenge or opportunity. Have you ever experienced a moment where a sudden insight or solution came to you after a consistent time of prayer? That is the power of rhythm. It trains your spirit to recognize God's voice and opens doors that you might not have seen otherwise. When prayer becomes a habit, your life begins to flow in alignment with divine timing. Prayer also creates momentum. When you engage daily, even in small moments, You set spiritual forces into motion that amplify blessings and opportunities. Can you remember a time when something miraculous happened after you faithfully prayed over it repeatedly? Momentum in prayer works invisibly, preparing circumstances, people, and opportunities to converge in your favor. Each day you commit to this practice, you reinforce the connection between your faith and God's action in your life, multiplying possibilities and opening doors that were previously closed. Another vital aspect of a daily prayer rhythm is the cultivation of discipline and focus. Life is full of distractions, obligations, and unexpected challenges that can easily pull your attention away from your spiritual priorities. Do you find it difficult to carve out consistent time for prayer amidst the business of life? Establishing a rhythm trains your heart and mind to prioritize your connection with God, ensuring that even on the busiest days, you remain aligned with divine guidance and favor. Engaging in a daily rhythm of prayer also deepens your intimacy with God. Have you ever felt a closeness or peace during prayer that seemed to transform your perspective entirely? When prayer becomes a regular part of your day, it moves beyond a ritual and becomes a conversation with your Creator. This ongoing dialogue strengthens your trust, increases your sensitivity to His guidance, and allows you to experience His presence more tangibly in every area of your life. Prayer rhythm also enhances your capacity to handle challenges. Life will inevitably bring trials, setbacks, and unexpected obstacles, but a disciplined prayer practice equips you with spiritual resilience. How do you usually respond when difficulties arise? Do you feel overwhelmed, or do you turn to prayer for guidance and strength? A regular rhythm of prayer trains your spirit to respond to difficulties with faith, clarity, and confidence, knowing that God is working behind the scenes on your behalf. Opportunities often come disguised as challenges, and prayer prepares you to recognize and seize them. When you maintain a consistent dialogue with God, your discernment improves, allowing you to see openings for advancement, restoration, and breakthrough that might otherwise go unnoticed. Can you think of a time when prayer helped you make the right decision just when you needed it most? Daily prayer sharpens your awareness and positions you to act with wisdom and courage when doors of opportunity present themselves. Prayer also cultivates gratitude, which is essential for transformation. When you pray daily, you naturally begin to acknowledge and celebrate what God is already doing in your life. Do you take moments each day to express thanks for even the smallest blessings? Gratitude keeps your heart focused on abundance rather than scarcity, strengthens your faith, and opens channels for more favor and restoration. Each day of intentional prayer becomes a reminder that God's goodness is present, active, and working for your benefit. In addition, a consistent rhythm of prayer enhances your overall spiritual authority. Every time you speak life, declare faith, and align with God's will, you are asserting spiritual influence over your circumstances. Have you noticed how your confidence and sense of purpose grow when you consistently seek God's guidance through prayer? This spiritual authority allows you to approach life boldly, knowing that favor and breakthrough are available because you are aligned with divine principles and committed to daily communication with your Creator. Prayer rhythms also strengthen perseverance. Life is full of seasons, some of which require patience and endurance. How do you maintain hope and faith when answers don't come immediately? Daily prayer sustains your spirit, reminding you that persistence in faith is crucial. Each day of dedicated communication with God builds your endurance and reinforces the belief that breakthroughs, blessings, and restoration are not just possibilities. They are inevitable when you remain faithful. The beauty of establishing a daily rhythm of prayer is that it transforms your life gradually but profoundly. It is a practice that shifts your mindset, aligns your heart with God's purpose, and prepares you to receive divine opportunities and favor consistently. Are you willing to commit to a rhythm of prayer that strengthens your faith, opens doors, and positions you for blessings that exceed your expectations? When you make this commitment, your life begins to reflect the divine order, favor, and restoration that God intends for you. Beloved, as you embrace a rhythm of prayer, you invite consistency, expectancy, and divine alignment into every area of your life. How might your days change if you approached each morning and evening with focused prayer, declarations of faith, and intentional gratitude? What breakthroughs, restored relationships, and opened doors could manifest when prayer becomes the rhythm of your life? If you want, I can also compile all 5 expanded keynotes into a single motivational speech of 4,000 plus words in the same Dr. Cindy Trimm style.